everybody, Dr. Karma Bryant from Psychological Health Consultants and Services and Redefining Yourself. I just want to come on really quick. My schedule has really been hectic, and so I really haven't been able to sit and focus on topics, but I've had some really good questions come through on email, and I really thank you guys so much for sending the questions. Remember, this is a program that was developed with women in mind. Those of you that are contemplating leaving, needing more information, or recovering from domestic violence, specifically narcissist abuse. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you guys so much for watching my YouTube videos. Thank you for all the comments, and thank you for the personal emails. I do have some more topics that we're going to be talking about, and one of them happens to be, how to process the abuse and ways to overcome justifying or self-blame. The other one is like signs of narcissists, how victims can avoid falling into relationships with narcs, so some of the signs. How narcissist survivors can protect themselves and their children when there's children involved. How to interact with mutual friends when the relationship is over, or should you just cut them off. And slander. I think that's one of the ones, is what is it? Not the gaslighting, but the slander and constant lies about you, the smear campaign, where they just kind of dog you out and try to ruin your reputation. So I've got some really good questions. Another one, someone asked me to go back over the codependency and the family roles that are played in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So I've got some really good questions. I really appreciate you guys for sending them. Give me a little time to research them so I can make them into topics. And so I just wanted to come on just really quick before I walked out the office and just make a comment in reference to relationships. As I said, this is, men go through the same thing that women go through, especially in narcissistic relationships. It just so happened I'm going to be talking to the ladies. And ladies, I want you to think about this for a minute. We invest a lot of time in finding the right school that we want to go into, the student loans, or buying a house. We invest in the inspectors to come and make sure the foundation of the house is good. You want to buy a good house that's going to last for years. Or if we're on the market trying to find a good automobile, we check to see the gas mileage, take it to the mechanic, make sure there's no mechanical problems with it, and if there are mechanical problems, they have the lemon laws in certain states, it has mechanical problems, we put it back. We invest all this time and energy in major purchases. Why don't we invest that much time and energy into major life decisions such as a relationship? We can say, yeah, we're just dating, we're getting to know each other, but if you jump into a relationship and start a sexual relationship, you don't know. First of all, that creates its own bonds. And remember, we were talking about trauma bonds. But even in sexual relationship, you get into sexual relationship with people, eventually there's some type of bond that's being created. But we don't take the time to investigate. This is a long-term application process. And you should take the time to interview each other. There should, my mentor, not one of, but my mentor, I have one mentor, my mentor made a statement that I'll carry along to every time I have a conversation about this. And what she said was that your emotional investment should be the very last thing you invest in a relationship. You should restrain that. If your emotions are all out of whack, if you're, when you meet that guy and all of a sudden you can't work, you can't focus anymore, you start dropping responsibilities, you can't make it at work, you're starting to drop some of your responsibilities. That right there is a red flag sign that, you may be moving entirely too fast. If you're going to make a major investment like that, then ladies, you guys need to do a long-term application process. You need to watch before you invest your life, and especially the lives of your children, in a relationship like this. Predators. I have worked with sex offenders before. Those that have been classified as sex offenders before, that come in for like mental health assessments, and and I've watched shows concerning interviewing sex offenders, and some of the things. One of the guys said that the way that he would determine whether a child is a good candidate as a victim, or if that's who he wants to groom. Number one, he looks to see if the parent is desperate. He said he looks for single parents, and he was looking for single parents that have kind of emotionally checked out, where the kid is not really emotionally attached. They're not really protective over their kids. a woman that's looking for a man to help her, and so they will play the role of this great helper, coach, mentor for your kids, and another thing, one of the sex offenders said is that he would go to a game, whatever sporting event. He would look for the single parents, and then he look for the child that's kind of standoff alone, that may be connected to the parent. And what he would do is touch their back. He says if they lean into the touch, he knows that they're lacking the emotional connection or the affection that parents should be giving their children. He says he knows then that they desire touch, they desire, closeness with someone. He says now, some of our kids we have trained just to cut up. Why are you touching me? They get loud. He knew not to touch those kids. Those are ones that were more supervised, And so ladies, when you're dealing with a narcissist, narcissist looks at you as a prey, but also oftentimes look at your kids as prey. And remember, they're predators, And so you have to remember stop rushing into relationships. When you leave a relationship, especially if you have been invested in an emotionally abusive or domestic violent or physically abusive or narcissistic abusive relationship, it's not time to come out of the relationship and jump right back into another one. You haven't even healed. You haven't even taken the time to go through your grief process. And then on top of that, identify triggers, identify red flags. You can't jump into another relationship. You haven't identified what has happened. When you can step back from a situation and heal from a situation, a lot of times me and the clients talk and like, I become very sensitive to tone, I've become very sensitive to facial expressions. I've become very sensitive to this or very sensitive to that. But it took time to be out of a relationship to begin to identify some things that is done by abusers. The sensitivity to tone, the sensitivity to the way that they meet you. Another thing is that are they rushing into the relationship? Why are you rushing me so fast to get into the relationship? You're rushing to be engaged. You're rushing to live together. You're rushing to give me a ring. You're rushing. You're telling people I'm your fiance. You're rushing. When a man or a woman, but when a man rushes into a relationship, that's a red flag. Why are you rushing me? Is there something you don't want me to know? Remember that a narcissist lives under a facade. There's a facade and a cloud of secrecy that they don't want you to know. And a lot of times they rush into the relationship so that you don't discover it or it won't fall apart. But by the time it begins to show itself, they've already locked you into the relationship. And so anybody that has to rush you into the relationship, we're going to meet my mom. I've known you for 3 days. Why are we going to meet your mom? Let's talk about marriage, or when we get married, and it has nothing to do with, they're making plans without you being involved in the plan. Remember, they're rushing you into a relationship. You don't really know a lot about them. Like, what do you act like when you get angry? How do you handle money? What is your relationship like with your family, with your mother, with your sisters? What kind of respect you have? How do you act with your baby mama? How do you act with your ex-wife? What can the other women say about you that have been involved with you? It's good to go and investigate. Are you under mentorship? Do you have leadership that you are involved with? How do you handle money? Remember, I said this in other videos as well. But ladies, we can't just rush into relationships. We are a valuable commodity. And likewise for men, you guys are valuable commodities. You are an asset to someone. You are created to be with someone, if that's your desire. But you have to make sure you make good choices. If people invest a lot of hundreds and thousands of dollars to make sure the foundation of a home is right, that's going to last, this is a good investment, and they pay inspectors to come out to inspect the house, the electricity, the structure of the house, how's the house built? Is the house a firm house? Is it a sturdy house? Will it withstand, strong storms? Is there's a new roof on it? Why do we invest that? I want a house that has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths or 2.5 baths, 2-car garage. I want a small yard. I want a big yard. You can pick and choose that, and you can wait. For some people, they rush into houses too, and then you're disappointed later on when the house starts falling apart because there's stuff that was hidden. There was stuff that people spackled or taped together in order to make the sale on the house, and the house structure was all jacked up. But then, if you can take your time to make a major purchase like a home, which is hundreds and thousands of dollars, or if you're going out to buy a brand new car and you want to, research the car, think about it. Those people that just like the car for aesthetics, it's a nice car, and I'm gonna look like this in front of my friends and everything. But the engine is jacked up. That car's gonna be sitting in the garage, sitting out in the parking lot, and all you have to show for it is a broken down car. You couldn't even enjoy it. You're spending more money trying to repair it, trying to get it fixed up, than you have the opportunity to enjoy it for it to serve its purpose. And so it's better to go and wait and invest, in a good car to make sure that that car is sturdy. Let me look at the history of it. Let me look at the gas mileage of it, so it can get me from point A to point B. It's going to last a long time because I don't have time to keep buying another car or a home. Let me make sure that this is a low maintenance home. I want to make sure this is and this and this. And here in the state of Washington, most homes are not built with air conditioning, but some people are like, well, I want to make sure there's an air conditioner built into the home. But if we spend that much time and money and energy to make sure that we can invest in something like that, we shop for clothes. You can't find the right thing, and you'll wait and keep looking, and until you find the shoe that you want. You take the time, but we want to rush into relationships. We want to get into a relationship with men you know nothing about. Oh, he has a job, he has a nice car, he smells good, he's got nice clothes, but you have no idea at what expense he's doing that to impress you. And a narcissist is a master of illusions. They say what you want to hear. They do what you want them to do. They become the perfect mate because we have a problem with talking too much. And we talk so much that we tell them everything that they need to be. Well, I don't like a man that does this. And, this is one of the things, one of my biggest pet peeves. And I don't, so you're telling him, you're giving him the information that he needs in order to play the role you need him to play. So ladies, if you can make an investment into material things, why can't you make an investment in the rest of your life and your children? Because when you are a parent, it is no longer just you. You are a package deal, is you and your children. If you get with a man and it takes all the attention away from your children, that's probably not the man that you want to be with. Does he have children? How does he treat his children? Do his children like him? I think I asked that in another video. Do the children like him? Do the children even want to be around him? See what he is like with with his children. What does a woman with children have if he's not good with kids whatsoever? Then that could be a possible point where the kids will be abused and misused. How does he act with his children? Watch him to see how he interacts with his children. Don't be so quick to introduce your children to whoever it is that you've met. This is not Uncle so-and-so. Stop calling him uncle. That's not their uncle. That's mommy's friend. Okay, but that's not your uncle. That is not their uncle. Stop telling them that's their uncle. And every week you have another uncle in the house. Ladies, we got to have some standards. You got to bring up the standards. We're not hussies. We're not a garden utensil. We have value, and you need to act like you have value. I don't care what someone has said to you. You have to redefine yourself. You redefine yourself. You're living off of the definition that someone else is giving you about yourself. But it's time for you to redefine yourself, and you discover who you are. You don't even know who you are. You don't know what colors you like. I was in a relationship for forever. And so I didn't even know the colors that I like. I didn't know the designs that I like. I remember I was walking around one day on the base installation. I was looking at pictures, and so I was looking at black art. It was women black art. So I've always tried to make my house neutral because I had boys and I had girls. So I had a combination of both. So you don't want to have hot pink with leopard prints and leopard stripes and zebra stripes and everything. That's my personal preference on my clothes. But you want to walk in the bathroom with a hot pink bathroom and fuzzy pillows, and you want to make it neutral so that everyone is comfortable, browns and whatever your preference is. And I remember talking to this individual, and I was looking at these paintings. I was looking at this art of these women, these African women with these pots on their head, and I thought they were so pretty. And he says, well, do you like it? I said, yeah, I like it. He says, so why won't you buy it? My first impression was like, well, I don't want to make the house too girly. I want it neutral. He says, well, who lives in your house? I was like, me and my daughter. He's like, okay. He says, so what's the problem? Because I had never stepped outside of what I was accustomed to. I never stepped outside. I didn't know the things that I liked, and so I have those pictures at the end of my hallway. But I didn't know what I liked. I was told that I didn't know how to decorate my house. So in my mind, I thought I didn't have taste. That I didn't know how to decorate a house. Because that was taken from me. Now I look at my house and I was like, wow, this is really nice. I really do have taste. I didn't know I had taste. I even decorated my own office. And so I realized, I'm like, hey, all that time I believed what someone had told me. I believe what was given to me. I define myself based off of what someone told me. You know, sometimes you don't get it right. I have a friend that she's an interior designer. She does beautiful, beautiful designs. I'm not talented like she is, but I watch to see how she does things. I look at what she do. I ask her questions. I ask how she coordinates. And so I went and coordinated, and I like my space. I think it's very nice. You know, I would show it to you, but I don't feel like dropping the camera. But I have a really nice space. So think about it, ladies. You don't know anything about yourself. You don't know the colors you like. You don't know where you like to go eat. I like to go eat. I like going to eat by myself. I like going to the movies by myself. You know, I found out that I'm a pretty balanced introvert extrovert. You know, I always thought I was a super extrovert. Come to find out, I'm balanced. I'm an introvert and an extrovert. Both. I'm pretty balanced. I like my peace and quiet, you know, and I like quiet, and I like just being at peace. You know, some of you need to go find that peace because you've been living in a life of trauma, in a life of high anxiety, in a life of drama. You know, you guys have, when you go behind closed doors, it should be you and your children, or you enjoy being by yourself. You know, that's the biggest problem. As long as you still crave to have someone in your life, everybody desires to have a mate. You know, well, I can't say everybody, but you know, most of us women desire to have a mate, desire to have a companion, desire maybe to have a husband, to be married, to be a wife, you know, and most of us think we'd be a good wife and everything. But if you're desperate to do that, it's not time to do it. If you're desperately seeking someone, or you're desperately wanting to be in a relationship, that's a red flag that you should not be in one at this particular time. Let it happen. And those of you that are talking about, well, my biological clock is ticking, well, shut it off and throw it out. Shut the clock off. Shut the clock off and throw that clock out. You know, it'll happen when it happens, but it'll happen when you're in a good place. And if you don't wait until you're in a good place, when I say in a good place, when you're healed, when you're satisfied with yourself, you know, if you're not satisfied with yourself, if you don't find yourself pretty or smart, if you don't find yourself, you know, in a place that you want to be, then you're going to draw the wrong people, and you're constantly going to be dependent on someone else to validate you. You see what I'm saying? You're going to constantly depend on someone else to validate you. I don't need anybody to validate me. And then stop making these lists that you can't live up to. You want the man to make sure he's wealthy, he's educated, he has this type of car and a house, and he has this. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? A real man that is a businessman, that is an intellectual man, that knows who he is, that's powerful. Why would he want a dumb wife? Now, if he wants a trophy wife, which most narcissists do, you know, but a real man, they don't want a trophy wife. They want a wife that's able to stimulate their mind. Men are attracted by what they see. That is true. Women, we like to be stimulated in our mind. In order to get to our bodies, you have to stimulate our minds. For a man, you know, is what they see. But once the sex is over with, once that is all over with, what kind of conversation do you have? How do you two support each other? You know, does he have plans? Does he have visions? Can you add to that? When you two come together, do your vision and plans come together? You're making a list of all the qualifications for the man. Now make a list of all the qualifications of yourself. How do you add up to each one of those things that you put on that list? You know, you want him to be a powerful businessman. Are you a powerful businesswoman? Because you might not meet him, you know, unless it's by passing and you're desperate. But you guys have to be of equal. You don't have to, but at the same time, you know, you want to be able to bring something to the table. You know, most intelligent, prosperous, or powerful men do not like stupid women. If they have a stupid woman, probably because you're arm candy or eye candy or whatever. And if it's a narcissist, you'll suck you dry eventually. They'll be done with you as a supply. You won't look like what you looked like before. You know, they'll get what they want out of you. Well, ladies, you know, you got to bring yourself, if you want a specific type of man, bring yourself up to his standard, and you'll draw him to you. You know, but stop being so desperate. Stop going out cougars and lionesses, and stop going out there on a hunt, on a prowl. Let that man enjoy the hunt and come to find you. That you take the time to process. You take the time to process what has happened to you, because you have been traumatized. Anytime anybody has been in a major accident, you know, it takes time to recuperate from that. You know, physical therapy, learning how to talk again, learning your fine motor skills, you know, learning how to turn your head, learning how to dress yourself again, learning, you know, there's neurological damage, there's muscular damage. Likewise, in severe domestic violence and narcissist abusive situation, there is damage that has been done. You don't see the world like the average person sees the world. You have to be retrained. You have to be reprogrammed. you have to be reprogrammed. And that's some of the things I'm going to talk about on here. You have to be reprocessed and reprogrammed from the way that you were thinking, because you were trained by a narcissist that has isolated you from other people and has told you what other people think of you, which is probably not true, has isolated you away from your support system and has told you what you are supposed to think, has told you who you are supposed to be, has told you weren't going to make it without me. You're not going to make it with all these kids. You're not going to make it with these children. You're not going to make it. No woman that has kids is successful. You're not going to make it. You're dumb. You don't even have an education. Okay, go back to school. There are grants out there. And there are scholarships out there. There are grants out there for women that are coming out of domestic violence to help you to get back on your feet. The Washington state laws, if you've been a wife and he wouldn't allow you to work and he's making money, this is a common community property state. And also, you go talk to a good lawyer, because he has to support you in order to get you back on your feet. You can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And even if he has isolated you, where it's almost like you're disconnected from your environment, from it's almost like you stepped into a world you know nothing about. Okay, go back to school. It starts somewhere. Never despise a small beginning. Start somewhere. Go back to school. Get you a technical trade. Do you have a business in your mind? Is there something that you're talented at doing? Think about that for a minute. And once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I just wanted to come in really, really quick. I have to go pick up my daughter from school. I hadn't left the office yet, but I know that I probably won't have time to broadcast a little later. Stay tuned, because I will also go live on Periscope when I'm going to go back in. I'm going to talk about domestic violence and narcissist abuse, which some of you have already heard. And then I'm going to go for some of the videos will be on YouTube, and I'm going to invite people over to YouTube so they can watch, so I don't have to repeat everything that I did on YouTube. And then we'll just start on Periscope from the new topics as we go. But I'll still invite people over to my YouTube. So please go to my YouTube channel. It's Dr. Carmen Bryant with a T, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. And also go to my professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. Mouthful, tongue twister. But, like my page, follow my videos. Please email me. Did I say Dr. Carmen Bryant? There we go, DrCarmenBryant@outlook.com. Dr. Carmen Bryant @outlook.com. Send me emails. Thank you guys so much. Miss Linda, thank you for sending me that email. Thank you for sharing with me. I am so honored, and I am so looking forward to answering your questions. Let me know if those other ones have answered your questions. I'm so honored that you would share with me. Thank you for sharing the information on YouTube as well. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you know when the videos come up. Hey, and as my friend always says, go and be great. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day.